The last person I expected to see crying at my father's funeral was my brother Jalen. He stood there, shoulders shaking, dabbing his eyes with a pristine handkerchief while accepting condolences from what seemed like half of Boston's elite business community. I fought the urge to roll my eyes. Always the performer, always Dad's perfect son. My name is Sadie, and I've spent 29 years living in my brother's shadow. Even now, as we gathered in the funeral home's reception area, I could hear the whispers. Poor Jalen, he was so close to his father. Such a successful young man, just like Richard was. Nobody spared me more than a sympathetic nod. How are you holding up? Quinn, our family lawyer, appeared beside me with 2 cups of coffee. His presence was oddly comforting in the sea of fake sympathy floating around the room. I'm fine, I said, accepting the coffee. Just ready for this to be over. The reading of the will is scheduled for tomorrow morning. You'll be there? I nodded, watching Jalen work the room like a politician at a fundraiser. Wouldn't miss it. My mother Alexandra drifted over, her black dress immaculate, her makeup perfect, despite the tears. Sadie, darling, you should join your brother. People want to offer their condolences to both of you. Mom, please. We both know this is Jalen's show. Don't start, she whispered, gripping my arm. Not today. Keith, my father's oldest friend, caught my eye from across the room and gave me an understanding smile. At least someone here knew the truth about our family's dynamics. The next morning, we gathered in Quinn's office. The furniture was all dark wood and leather, exactly what you'd expect from a family lawyer who'd been handling old money for decades. Jalen sat next to Mom, while I chose a seat across the room. Quinn cleared his throat and began reading. I barely listened to the preliminary legal jargon, but my attention snapped back when he reached the meat of it. To my son, Jalen Harrison, I leave my controlling interest in Harrison Industries, along with the family estate, and what? I stood up so quickly my chair scraped against the hardwood floor. That's impossible. Jalen's smirk made my blood boil. It's my birthright, little sister. Dad always said the company would be mine. The company he built from nothing. The company I've worked at for the past 7 years, while you've been playing golf with his friends and taking 3-hour lunches. Sadie, Mom warned, but I was beyond caring. Quinn held up his hands. Please, let me finish. There are provisions. Provisions don't matter, Jalen interrupted, standing to his full height. Dad knew what he was doing. I'm the firstborn son, and this is how it should be. This is bullshit, I spat. I've earned my place in that company. I've worked harder than. That's enough. Mom's voice cracked like a whip. Your father made his decisions. We need to respect them. I looked at Quinn, who seemed uncomfortable with the whole situation. Is this legal? Can he really just cut me out like this? The will appears to be properly executed, Quinn said carefully, his eyes telling me there was more to discuss later. Well then. Jalen straightened his tie, that insufferable smile still plastered on his face. I think we're done here. I have a company to run. As he strutted toward the door, Mom trailing behind him, I felt something snap inside me. All those years of being second best, of watching Jalen coast through life on Dad's reputation, while I fought for every scrap of recognition, it all crystallized into a single, burning point of rage. This isn't over, I called after him. He turned, one hand on the doorknob. Oh, but it is, sis. It's exactly what Dad wanted. Maybe if you'd been more like me and less you, things would be different. After they left, I collapsed back into my chair, hands shaking. Quinn sat on the edge of his desk, watching me carefully. There's something not right about all this, I said. Dad might have favored Jalen, but he believed in earning your way. He wouldn't just hand everything over like this. Quinn nodded slowly. Your father was complicated, and there are some irregularities in the documentation that I've noticed. I leaned forward. What kind of irregularities? Nothing I can discuss officially, he said, standing up. But if someone were to look into the family records from around the time Jalen was born, well, they might find some interesting information. I felt a spark of hope, or maybe it was vengeance. Either way, it was something to hold on to. Thank you, Quinn. As I left his office, I made a silent vow. I would find out what was really going on, and I would make things right. Jalen might think he'd won, but he had no idea what was coming. Sometimes karma needs a little push, and I was ready to start pushing. The key to Dad's study felt heavy in my hand. As I stood outside the door, Mom was at her yoga class, and Jalen was probably holding court at his new corner office. The perfect time to start digging. Need some moral support. Sabrina's voice made me jump. My cousin leaned against the hallway wall, arms crossed. How did you get in? Please, I've known where the spare key is since we were 12. She nodded at the study door. You going in? I turned the key. Want to help me commit some light snooping? Thought you'd never ask. Dad's study smelled like leather and expensive cigars. Everything was exactly as he'd left it. The leather chair still held the impression of his body, and half-finished crossword puzzles littered his desk. Where do we start? Sabrina asked, running her finger along a shelf of leather-bound books. Quinn mentioned something about records from when Jalen was born. I moved behind the desk, pulling open drawers. There has to be something here that explains why Dad would just hand everything over to him. The bottom drawer was locked. I jiggled it, frustrated. Hold up, Sabrina said, reaching for her purse. Bobby pins solve everything. She knelt beside me, working the lock until it clicked. Inside, we found stacks of old papers and photographs. I pulled out a manila envelope, yellowed with age. The first photo showed Mom in a hospital bed, but something was off. Wait, Sabrina said, pointing. Look at the date stamp. March 1989, but Jalen was born in January. We shared a look. I dug deeper into the envelope, finding a stack of letters. The first one made my heart stop. Dear Richard, I read aloud. The adoption paperwork is ready. Remember our agreement. This stays between us. Your generous donation to the agency will ensure complete discretion. Sabrina whistled low. Holy shit. There's more. I shuffled through the papers, hospital records, legal documents. Jalen was adopted. Does he know? No way. He wouldn't have spent his whole life bragging about being Dad's firstborn son if he knew. The study door creaked. We both jumped. What are you doing in here? Mom stood in the doorway, her yoga mat still slung over her shoulder. I held up the envelope. Care to explain these? All the color drained from her face. Where did you find those? Does it matter? Were you ever going to tell me the truth? She closed the door quietly behind her and sank into Dad's chair. It was complicated, Sadie. Your father and we couldn't have children at first. We adopted Jalen, and then surprisingly, I got pregnant with you 2 years later. That's not complicated, Mom. That's just life. What's complicated is lying about it for 34 years. Your father wanted it this way. He said it would be easier if no one knew. He didn't want Jalen to feel different. I laughed bitterly. Different? He made Jalen feel superior every single day. Sadie. Mom reached for my hand, but I pulled away. Don't, just don't. You let Dad favor him our entire lives. You watched him tear me down again and again, and you never said a word. I should go, Sabrina murmured, slipping toward the door. No, stay, I said. I want a witness for this conversation. Mom's face hardened. You can't tell him, Sadie. It would destroy him. Like he destroyed my chance at the company. Like he's destroying Dad's legacy right now. What are you planning to do? I gathered the documents, tucking them carefully into my bag. I don't know yet. But I deserve better than what Dad left me, and we both know it. Please, Mom whispered. There are things you don't understand. Things that could hurt more than just Jalen if they come out. That made me pause. What things? She stood up, straightening her yoga pants with trembling hands. Leave it alone, Sadie. Some secrets should stay buried with your father. After she left, Sabrina put her hand on my shoulder. What are you thinking? I pulled out one more document from the envelope. A letter from Dad, dated just months before his death. Something about a debt that needed to be repaid. I'm thinking Mom knows more than she's saying. And I'm thinking it's time to find out exactly what kind of secrets our perfect family is hiding. Sabrina grinned. Need a partner in crime? Always. I tucked the letter into my pocket. But first, we need to talk to Keith. He was Dad's best friend for 40 years. If anyone knows the whole story, it's him. As we left the study, I felt lighter somehow. The truth about Jalen might be my key to justice, but something told me this was just the beginning. Mom's warning echoed in my head, but I pushed it aside. Some secrets deserve to see the light of day, no matter who gets burned in the process. Keith's lakeside cabin hadn't changed since I was a kid. The same worn rocking chair sat on the porch, and the smell of coffee and pipe tobacco wafted through the screen door. I was wondering when you'd show up, he said, opening the door before I could knock. Come in, coffee's fresh. I followed him into the familiar living room, where fishing trophies and old photographs covered every wall. In most of them, Keith and my father stood side by side, holding up their catches with proud grins. You know why I'm here? He poured 2 cups of coffee. Your mother called, said you've been asking questions. Then you know about Jalen. Sit down, kiddo. He settled into his favorite armchair. What exactly did you find? I pulled out the adoption papers and spread them on the coffee table. Keith studied them, his weathered face giving nothing away. Your father thought he was protecting everyone, he said finally. Protecting who? Jalen. Because it seems like he was just protecting his own lies. Keith set his coffee down. There's more to it than that. Your mother, she was married before your father. The room seemed to tilt. What? Brief marriage, right out of college, to a real piece of work named Marcus. When she left him, she was pregnant with Jalen. My hands started shaking. So Jalen isn't adopted. He is. Your mother gave him up for adoption when he was born. She couldn't bear to keep him. Too many bad memories. Then she met your father, and they fell in love. A year later, they decided to adopt a baby. And by some cosmic joke, they adopted her own son. Keith leaned forward. No joke. Your father arranged it. He tracked down Jalen and made it happen. Paid a lot of money to keep it quiet. Does Mom know? That your father deliberately adopted her biological son? No. She thinks it was coincidence. Divine intervention, she calls it. I stood up, pacing the room. This is insane. Why would Dad do that? Because he loved her. Because he thought having her son close would heal something in her. Keith picked up an old photo from the side table, but it got complicated. He started feeling guilty about the deception, tried to make up for it by giving Jalen everything. At my expense. Yes. Keith's directness surprised me. He overcorrected, badly. By the time he realized what he'd done to you, his pattern of favoritism was set in stone. The front door creaked open, and Sabrina burst in. Sorry I'm late. Traffic was... She stopped, reading the tension in the room. What did I miss? I filled her in quickly, watching her eyes grow wider with each revelation. Holy crap, she whispered. So Jalen is actually my half-brother. Biologically. The words felt strange in my mouth. Keith stood up, moving to a cabinet in the corner. There's something else you should see. He pulled out an old leather journal. Your father left this with me last month. Said if anything happened to him, I should make sure you got it. I took the journal with trembling hands. Inside, Dad's familiar handwriting filled page after page. He was going to tell you everything, Keith said softly. He'd finally realized how much damage he'd done. The new will giving everything to Jalen. That wasn't his final word. He was working with Quinn to change it when the heart attack happened. Does Quinn know all this? No. Just the legal parts. The rest. Keith gestured to the journal. It's all in there. Sabrina squeezed my shoulder. What are you going to do? I stared at the journal, thinking of Jalen in his new office, probably signing papers and making decisions about the company I'd helped build. Thinking of Mom, carrying this secret for decades. Thinking of Dad, trying to fix his mistakes too late. I need to talk to Mom again, really talk to her. Be careful, Keith warned. This knowledge, it's like a loaded gun. Once you pull the trigger, you can't take it back. I'm tired of being careful. I gathered the papers and the journal. Mom needs to know what Dad did, and Jalen, he needs to know who he really is. And the company? Sabrina asked. One bomb at a time. I hugged Keith goodbye. Thank you for telling me the truth. He held on longer than usual. Your father loved you, Sadie. He just got lost, trying to fix something that was broken before you were born. Outside, the late afternoon sun sparkled on the lake. Sabrina linked her arm through mine as we walked to the car. You okay? I thought about the journal in my bag, heavy with secrets. About Mom's face when she'd found us in the study. About Jalen, who had no idea his whole life was built on carefully constructed lies. No, I said honestly, but I will be, after everyone knows the truth. The real question was, who would be left standing when all the secrets finally came out? I found Mom in the garden, methodically deadheading roses, like she always did when she was anxious. The journal felt heavy in my bag as I approached. We need to talk, I said, sitting on the stone bench beside her flower bed. She didn't look up. If this is about the adoption papers, it's about Marcus. The pruning shears clattered to the ground. Mom's face went ash white as she slowly turned to face me. Who told you that name? Keith. And Dad's journal told me the rest. I pulled it out, watching her eyes fix on it like it was a venomous snake. Did you know? Did you know Dad arranged Jalen's adoption on purpose? She sank onto the bench beside me, hands trembling. What are you talking about? He tracked down your biological son and adopted him. It wasn't a coincidence, Mom. It was calculated. No. She shook her head violently. No, that's impossible. Richard wouldn't. He did. It's all here. I opened the journal to a marked page. He wrote everything down. How he hired private investigators. How he paid off the adoption agency. How he orchestrated the whole thing. Tears started rolling down her face. I never knew. All these years, I thought it was fate. Why didn't you ever tell me about your first marriage? She wiped her eyes with her gardening glove, leaving a smudge of dirt on her cheek. Marcus he was charming at first, then controlling, then violent. When I found out I was pregnant, I knew I had to get away. Giving up the baby was the hardest thing I've ever done, but I thought it was the only way to make a clean break. And then Dad brought him right back into your life. He must have thought he was helping. She laughed bitterly. Your father always thought he could fix everything with enough money and determination. The back door slammed, making us both jump. Jalen strode across the lawn, his designer suit looking ridiculous among the garden tools. What's going on out here? He looked between us suspiciously. Why are you crying, Mom? Nothing, sweetheart. Mom stood quickly, brushing dirt from her pants, just discussing some old memories. Right, he turned to me. By the way, I'm selling the Boston office. What? I stood up so fast, I nearly dropped the journal. You can't do that. That branch is profitable. I can do whatever I want. It's my company now, remember. His smirk made my blood boil. Besides, that office was Dad's pet project, your project. Time for some changes. You're going to destroy everything he built. I'm going to make it better, stronger, like he always wanted. He straightened his tie. Maybe if you'd had a better understanding of business, maybe if you knew the truth about who you really are, you'd shut your mouth, I snapped. Sadie, don't. Mom grabbed my arm. Jalen's eyes narrowed. What's that supposed to mean? The moment stretched like a rubber band about to snap. I could do it right now, tell him everything, watch his perfect world crumble. Nothing, I said finally, feeling Mom's grip relax, just thinking out loud. He shrugged, already losing interest. Whatever, I have a meeting. Try not to upset Mom any more than you already have. As he walked away, Mom sagged against me. Thank you for not telling him. I didn't do it for you. I picked up the journal. But he needs to know eventually. This isn't fair to anyone. Please. She grabbed my hands. Give me time to process this, to figure out how to tell him myself. You have until Friday. That's when the board meets to confirm Jalen's position as CEO. If you haven't told him by then, I will. Sadie, no, Mom, no more secrets, no more protecting him at my expense. I pulled away from her. Dad's journal mentioned something else too. Something about a debt that needs to be repaid. Any idea what that means? She turned back to her roses, but not before I caught the flash of fear in her eyes. Your father was prone to dramatic statements. It probably means nothing. Right. Just like Marcus meant nothing. Just like Jalen's adoption meant nothing. She didn't answer, just picked up her pruning shears and resumed her methodical deadheading. I texted Sabrina as I walked back to my car. Need to talk to Quinn, now. Her reply came instantly. Already called him. He's waiting at his office. Says he found something interesting in the company records. I started the engine, glancing back at the garden. Mom was still there, surrounded by fallen rose petals, looking small and lost. Part of me wanted to go back, to hug her and promise everything would be okay. But I was done with family lies. It was time for the truth, no matter how many thorns we had to navigate to get there. Quinn's office was dark, except for his desk lamp when I arrived. He sat hunched over a stack of papers, his reading glasses perched on the end of his nose. You found something? I asked, dropping into the chair across from him. More than something. He pushed a folder toward me. Your father made some interesting financial moves in the months before his death. Sabrina leaned over my shoulder as I opened the folder. What are we looking at? Wire transfers, Quinn said. Large ones, all to an account in the Cayman Islands. I flipped through the documents. These amounts, they're huge. Almost $40 million in total. Quinn took off his glasses. Money that technically belonged to the company, but your father moved it through a series of shell corporations. Was he embezzling? No. Quinn shook his head. He was paying someone off, and I think I know who. He pulled out another document. Remember Marcus? My stomach dropped. Mom's first husband. He surfaced about 6 months ago, threatening to expose something. These payments started right after that. Sabrina whistled. 40 million is a lot of hush money. What could be worth that much? I asked. Quinn's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, frowning. That's odd. Jalen just called an emergency board meeting for tomorrow morning. What? The confirmation meeting isn't supposed to be until Friday. He's moving fast. Quinn gathered the papers. And there's something else you should see. He pulled up a document on his computer, turning the screen toward us. It was a draft of a press release, announcing the sale of not just the Boston office, but 3 other major branches of Harrison Industries. He's dismantling the company, I whispered. More like stripping it for parts, Quinn said. These buyers, they're all connected to a private equity firm known for hostile takeovers. My phone chimed. A text from Mom. Jalen knows something. He was just here, asking about Marcus. What did you do? Shit. I showed the text to Sabrina. This is bad, she said. If he finds out everything at once. The office door burst open. Jalen stood there, his perfect suit rumpled, his face red with rage. You, he pointed at me. You've been digging around in the past, haven't you? Jalen, Quinn stood up. This isn't the place. Shut up. Jalen slammed his hands on Quinn's desk. I just had a very interesting conversation with a man claiming to be my biological father. Ring any bells, sis? My blood ran cold. Marcus contacted you. Oh, so you do know about him. Were you working with him, trying to undermine me? I didn't. Save it. He straightened up, smoothing his tie with shaking hands. You want to play dirty? Fine. That's why I moved the board meeting. By this time tomorrow, those branches will be sold, and you'll have nothing left to fight for. You can't do this, I said, standing to face him. Dad built this company from nothing. He wouldn't want... Dad? Jalen laughed harshly. Turns out he wasn't even my real father, just another liar in a family full of them. If you'd let me explain. Tomorrow morning, 9 a.m., he backed toward the door. Watch me destroy everything you care about, just like you destroyed my life with your meddling. After he left, the office fell silent, except for the hum of Quinn's computer. Well, Sabrina said finally, that could have gone better. Marcus must have been watching, Quinn mused, waiting for Richard's death to make his move. I sank back into my chair. This is my fault. I started digging, and now... No. Quinn leaned forward. This was going to explode eventually, but we might be able to control the blast radius. He pulled out his phone. I need to make some calls. If we can delay the sale. I need to talk to Mom, I said, standing. She needs to know Marcus is back. I'll come with you, Sabrina offered. As we rode the elevator down, my phone chimed again. Unknown number, with a photo attachment. I opened it and froze. It was an old photograph showing my father standing next to Marcus. They were both younger, both smiling, both wearing Harrison Industries jackets. The caption read, "Ask your mother about the real family business. Tomorrow's board meeting will be very interesting." "What is it?" Sabrina asked. I showed her the photo. "I think we just found out what Dad was paying to keep quiet." The elevator doors opened to the lobby, where the Harrison Industries logo gleamed on the wall. Tomorrow, everything would change. The only question was, would there be anything left of our family when the dust settled? I found Mom sitting in the dark kitchen, an untouched glass of wine in front of her. When I slapped the photograph on the table, she didn't even flinch. "You knew," I said. "You knew Dad and Marcus worked together." "Sit down, Sadie." Her voice was hollow. "There are things you need to understand before tomorrow." Sabrina flicked on the lights and settled into a chair beside me. Mom barely acknowledged her presence. "Harrison Industries wasn't built from nothing," Mom began. "Your father and Marcus, they started it together, with money that wasn't exactly clean." "What do you mean?" "Investment fraud. They would convince people to invest in fake companies, then funnel the money through legitimate businesses. When I found out, I was already married to Marcus and pregnant with Jalen." I felt the floor shifting under me. "So, the company was built on stolen money?" "Yes." Mom took a shaky sip of wine. "Your father was the legitimate face. Marcus handled the darker aspects. When I discovered what they were doing, I threatened to go to the police. That's when Marcus showed his true colors." "He hurt you?" She pulled up her sleeve, revealing an old scar. "He made it clear what would happen if I talked, so I ran. Richard helped me disappear, hide from Marcus, and then he adopted Jalen and married you. He wanted to make things right. He spent years cleaning up the company, making it legitimate. Everything he did after that was honest. But Marcus kept the evidence from those early days, threatening to expose everything." The kitchen door creaked. We all jumped as Keith stepped in. "I came as soon as I got your message," he said to Mom. "Marcus called me too." "Does Jalen know all of this?" I asked. "He knows pieces," Keith said, settling against the counter. "Marcus told him enough to make him angry, but not the whole truth." My phone buzzed. Quinn calling. I put him on speaker. "We have a problem." His voice crackled. "I've been reviewing the sale contracts. If they go through tomorrow, the buyers will have access to all historical company records." "Marcus planned this," Mom whispered. "He's using Jalen to expose everything." "But why now?" Sabrina asked. "Why wait all these years?" "Because Dad was paying him off," I realized. "And now that Dad's gone, he wants control," Keith finished. "He's going to use the scandal to take back the company he helped build." Quinn cleared his throat through the speaker. "There might be a way to stop this. The original incorporation documents required both founder signatures for major sales. If Marcus was a founder, then Jalen can't sell anything without his signature," I said. "But wouldn't that just give Marcus more power?" "Not if we can prove the company's criminal origins," Quinn replied. "It would invalidate Marcus's claim entirely." Mom stood up suddenly. "I have proof. I kept everything. Documents, recordings, photos. I couldn't bring myself to destroy them. That could ruin the company completely," Keith warned. "The company's already ruined if Marcus takes control," I said. "At least this way we choose how it falls." "There's something else," Mom said quietly. "Something not even Marcus knows." She disappeared into the pantry, returning with a thick envelope. "Your father's real will. He changed it the day before he died." I opened it with trembling fingers. "He left the company to both of us, me and Jalen, equal shares." "We need to tell him everything," Sabrina said, "before tomorrow's meeting." He won't listen to me, I said. He'll listen to me. Mom grabbed her keys. I'm his mother, whether he likes it or not. Keith, come with me. He trusts you. As they left, Quinn spoke up again. Sadie, bring those documents to my office. We need to prepare for every possibility tomorrow. What about Marcus? Sabrina asked. Let him come, I said, gathering the papers. It's time everyone knew the truth about Harrison Industries. All of it. In the driveway, Mom stopped and turned back. Sadie, I'm sorry for all of it. The lies, the secrets. I know, Mom. Just fix things with Jalen. I'll handle the rest. As their car disappeared into the night, Sabrina squeezed my shoulder. Ready for war? I looked down at the documents in my hands. Proof of fraud, Dad's real will, 30 years of family secrets reduced to paper and ink. No, I admitted, but that's never stopped me before. My phone buzzed one last time. A text from Marcus. See you tomorrow, stepdaughter. Hope you're ready for a family reunion. I deleted it without responding. Tomorrow would bring whatever it brought. But this time, I had something Marcus didn't. The whole truth, and a family finally ready to face it together. Let's go see Quinn, I said. We've got a long night ahead of us. The Harrison Industries boardroom was already packed when I arrived. Board members in expensive suits murmured among themselves, shooting curious glances my way. Jalen stood at the head of the table, looking like he hadn't slept. Where's Mom? I asked, taking my seat. Not here. His voice was rough. She tried talking to me last night. I didn't want to hear it. Quinn entered with a stack of folders, followed by Sabrina carrying a laptop. Before anyone could speak, the boardroom door opened again. A man in his 60s walked in, silver-haired and wearing a smile that made my skin crawl. I knew immediately who he was. I had his eyes. Marcus, Quinn said coldly. This is a private meeting. Oh, I think I have every right to be here. Marcus pulled out a chair. Since I'm about to become a major stakeholder, Jalen's face hardened. The sales will proceed as planned. Actually, Quinn interrupted, they won't. He started distributing folders. As the board can see, the original incorporation documents require both founders' signatures for any major asset sales, which means Marcus leaned back, smirking. My son needs my permission. That's not all they need to see. I nodded to Sabrina, who connected her laptop to the projector. The first image appeared on the screen. Bank statements showing suspicious transfers from the company's early days. Then came photos of Marcus and my father with known criminals. Finally, recorded conversations about fraud schemes. What is this? One board member demanded. The truth about how Harrison Industries started, I said. Built with stolen money and fraud. Isn't that right, Marcus? His smirk faltered. You're bluffing. Mom kept everything. I met his gaze. Every document, every photo, every recording. Dad might have paid you to keep quiet, but he's gone now, and I'm done with secrets. You'll destroy the company, Jalen said, but his voice shook. The company's already compromised, Quinn stated. But we have a solution. He pulled out another document. Your father's real will, signed and notarized the day before he died. The boardroom door burst open. Mom strode in, Keith right behind her. I told you to stay away, Jalen snapped. Shut up and listen to your mother, she said, with a steel in her voice I'd never heard before. She turned to Marcus. I should have done this 30 years ago. Alexandra, Marcus started, standing. Sit down. Her command cracked like a whip. You don't get to speak, not after what you did. She faced the board. Harrison Industries needs to be restructured. Clean money, clean operations, joint leadership between my children, both of them. The alternative is, I take everything I know to the FBI. Marcus laughed. You're bluffing. You'd go down with us. Try me. She pulled out her phone. I have an agent on speed dial. Been building a case for months, ever since Richard told me you were back. The board members exchanged worried glances. This is ridiculous, Jalen said, but he'd gone pale. I'm the CEO now. No, Quinn interrupted. According to your father's real will, you and Sadie share equal control. And given the evidence of the company's fraudulent origins, the board has grounds to invalidate any sales you've proposed. All in favor of halting the asset sales, Keith called out. Raise your hands. One by one, hands went up. Marcus stood so fast, his chair toppled backward. You can't do this, he snarled. I'll expose everything. Go ahead, I said, standing to face him. But ask yourself, who goes down harder? The woman who fled an abusive marriage, or the man who built an empire on fraud and violence? The room fell silent. Marcus looked around, finding no allies. This isn't over, he spat, heading for the door. Actually, it is. Keith stepped aside to reveal two FBI agents. Remember me mentioning I had friends in law enforcement? As they led Marcus away, Jalen slumped in his chair. Why didn't you tell me the truth? He asked Mom. All these years. Because I was afraid, she said softly. Of Marcus, of the truth, of losing you. But I'm not afraid anymore. Quinn cleared his throat. The board needs to vote on the new leadership structure. Joint control between siblings, with oversight from a reformed board. All in favor? The vote was unanimous. I looked at Jalen. We can fix this, together, if you're willing to try. He was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he nodded. I don't know if I can forgive all the lies. But the company, Dad's real legacy. Maybe we can save that. As the board members filed out, Mom pulled both of us into a hug. Your father would be proud of both of you. We have a lot of work to do, Quinn said, gathering his papers. The restructuring, the legal implications. Tomorrow, I said. Right now, I think this family needs to talk. Really talk. Sabrina squeezed my hand as she packed up her laptop. Want me to order dinner to your place? I looked at my mother and brother, both broken, both healing, both finally ready for truth. Yes, I said. I think we're going to be here a while. The autumn sun streamed through Dad's old office window as I cleared the last of his things. Jalen stood in the doorway, watching me pack photos into a box. You should keep this one, I said, holding up a picture of Dad teaching him to fish. You sure? He was your father in every way that mattered. I handed him the photo. Biology doesn't change that. He studied the image, running his thumb over the edge. I've been thinking about visiting Marcus in prison. Really? Not for forgiveness or some big emotional reunion. He set the photo carefully in the box. Just to understand. To hear his side of the story. Want company? He managed a small smile. Maybe. Still feels strange, doesn't it? Working together instead of competing? Strange good or strange bad? Good, I think. He picked up a stack of papers from Dad's desk. The Boston office numbers came in. Your team's killing it. Our team, I corrected. Though I notice you've stopped trying to sell it. The phone on the desk buzzed. Mom's voice came through the speaker. Kids, the new board members are here for the orientation. Should I send them up? We'll come down, Jalen replied. Just finishing up here. I closed the box and looked around the office. What should we do with this space? I was thinking, maybe a shared office. Take down that stupid mahogany desk, put in something more modern. 2 desks, facing each other. Sounds cozy. Well, Dad's journal said we were both meant to be here. Might as well embrace it. Quinn appeared in the doorway, adjusting his tie. Sorry to interrupt, but Keith just called. The FBI finished their asset recovery investigation. They're releasing the last of the frozen accounts. Clean money only? I asked. Completely legitimate. The company's officially free of Marcus's influence. Jalen nodded. Good. That's good. Sabrina poked her head in. Hey, boss people. The new board's getting restless downstairs. Also, Mom's stress baking again. There are like 50 muffins in the break room. At least she's not gardening, I said. Remember when she pruned all the roses down to stubs? God, that was a dark week. Jalen laughed. Actually laughed. The sound still surprised me sometimes. We headed for the elevator together, leaving Dad's empty office behind. As we descended, Jalen cleared his throat. Listen, about everything that happened, the will, the company, the way I treated you. We've been through this. I know, but he hit the emergency stop button. I need to say it properly. I was wrong about everything, and I'm sorry. I studied his face, so much like Marcus's, but softer somehow, more like Mom's. Water under the bridge, I said, starting the elevator again. Besides, you're stuck with me now. 50-50, remember. The doors opened to reveal the newly remodeled lobby. The Harrison Industries logo still gleamed on the wall, but now it felt different, cleaner, honest. Mom stood with the board members, looking more relaxed than I'd seen her in years. Keith was there too, showing Quinn something on his phone that made them both laugh. Ready to charm the new board? I asked Jalen. Born ready. Though you might want to handle the numbers part. I'm still not great with those quarterly projections. Deal. You handle the schmoozing. I'll handle the math. As we approached the group, Mom pulled us both aside. Before we start, I want you to have these. She pressed 2 envelopes into our hands. I found them in your father's study. They're letters, one for each of you. He wrote them the day he changed his will. Mom, Jalen started. Read them later, she said. Right now, you have a company to run. Together. We tucked the letters away and turned to face the board. Quinn called everyone to attention, ready to begin the orientation. I felt Jalen's hand squeeze my shoulder briefly, a gesture so small, yet unimaginable just months ago. We'd torn everything down to build it back up again, stronger this time. Different. Let's do this, he whispered. I nodded, thinking of Dad's journal, of Mom's courage, of Marcus in prison, of all the secrets that had nearly destroyed us. But mostly, I thought about the truth, how it had hurt like hell, but also how it had set us free. Together, I whispered back. And for the first time since Dad died, it felt like we were finally building something real. Something that could last. Not just a company, but a family. The truth had cost us everything, and given us everything back.